Welcome to Talking Buffalo, featuring conversations with guests from around the world of sports, media, pop culture, and all things Buffalo. With your host, Patrick Moran.
All right, what is going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to another episode. If you're watching us on the video side, a late night Talking Buffalo After Dark episode. Your weekday daily driver for Buffalo Sports Talk and more. My name is Patrick Moran. Thank you to everyone out there for watching and for listening, for following, for subscribing. I appreciate y'all very much. Most of you will be listening to this sometime on Monday, but if you happen to be around on the video side, we are actually live here late on a Sunday night. I am joined, as I usually am now, all season long after these Buffalo Bills games, our post-game show. Joe from Queens. What's up? How you doing, man? This was a long ass shitty Sunday because in large part what we saw on the field today, which we'll talk about. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for asking. I was just about to retweet your Twitter, but then you were no intros. You're just like, get to it. Usually you do like a rigmarole. Here, I'm having a beer.
What kind you got, man? I'm operating on fumes.
Yeah, I have something called the Rockaway Fuzz Light Year. Rockaway is a brewery that's located in Long Island City, which is like the town over from me.
Yeah.
And it's a Pilsner. I'm trying to get it to open. Okay. All right. There's a little bit of a crack. Or not a crack, like a dent in the can. It's only 4.5%, which I'm not happy about. I really wanted like a very ruthless beer today. And I didn't do a good enough job in refrigerating stuff. So that's on me.
Before we get into this game, I will say I did do something today, and it's got nothing to do why the Bills lost. I mean, the Bills have just been playing like shit now for the past couple weeks. I really don't feel like it matters where you watch the game or whatnot. But typically my routine is I watch the game at home with my wife and my son and his girlfriend, the four of us. That's what we do every week, probably for the last couple seasons now. Today being Sunday during the day, I went to a big surprise birthday party. My boy, happy birthday. Shout out my buddy John Lake. It was his birthday, and there were about 20, 25 people at the house. And I watched the game with a shitload of friends. And I got to say, although, again, you know, it was really frustrating at the end, of course, it was fun to do that. I'm going to have to start kind of getting out and watching some of the games. I don't go to the games. I don't like to go to bars for games. I don't like large gatherings because I really like to lock in on the game. But I had a really good time watching it with a bunch of friends. Where'd you watch the game today?
I watched it at home. It was actually the national game, which I'm always excited when the national game is on in New York City. But overall, it's so tough to watch games with a kid. Like, we have a 14-month-old, which I've talked about before, and my wife, mostly my wife and I, don't encourage screen time. So we have the baby kind of crawling around. So I'm watching the game, but I'm also blocking the TV so he doesn't see the TV. And it's very frustrating because I'm just like, why can't you just watch the TV? Who cares? Everyone watches TV as screens, but I'm a good husband. So that's where we watched it at. I mean, I watched it and then I watched it again. Like, I tortured myself at about 8:30 and watched the condensed version just because everyone was sleeping by then.
Sure.
But yeah, it wasn't great, Bob.
It was not. Let's as I did last week, I'm going to attempt to keep things a little bit in perspective. Look, at the end of the day, the Bills are still leading the AFC East, okay?
Yeah.
My focus is shifted now. I will say this. My focus on the Bills for the 2024 season has shifted after these last 2 weeks. I'm no longer worried about what Kansas City and Baltimore and Cincinnati and some of the Houston, what these teams are doing week to week. I am, at this point, 100% locked in on the AFC East because to me, it's about winning the AFC East. There's 4 teams in the division. New England is done already. I still think, even though Miami pulled out a close win against the Patriots today, I still think Miami's toast. It's the Bills to me, and it's the Jets. That's what I'm locked in on. There's 4 teams in the division. You win the division, you get to the playoffs, and you get a home playoff game. And hopefully you're playing your best football when you get there. But I'm not focused and locked in anymore on the AFC. This team's not good enough to finish with the best record in this conference. Probably not the second, maybe not even the third best record as well. So I'm focused on the AFC East and the New York Jets lost, so that's big. Injuries have been a factor for the Bills. Sooner or later, that's got to swing. Like, they're going to have to get some kind of good luck when it comes to their health. It just doesn't seem to be going that way. I thought the defense played pretty well, all things considered, which, we'll talk about. Maybe Nico Collins getting hurt on that long touchdown had something to do with Houston's offense.
I'm sure it did have a lot to do with that.
Yeah. So, so if you think, perspective, they're still in first place in the AFC East. They're still 3-2, and they got a good opportunity this coming week against the New York Jets. I'm not going to lie, man. I am really, really annoyed right now at this football team. This was all the things that you worry about with this team over the last 2 weeks, and even more so today than last week, I think, kind of rear its ugly head. By the way, they've come out flat as shit both weeks now, 2 straight weeks in a row. They've been outscored 38-6 in the first half of these last 2 football games. But it's coaching issue, which we'll talk about. The wide receivers, I mean, come on, man. We're going to talk about them. Josh Allen was an issue on Sunday. I don't think he played well at all.
No.
And I'm going to, I said this on Twitter, Brandon Beane is going to catch some strays from me on this episode because this free agent class that he put together this offseason, and we're 5 weeks in now. This is no little tiny sample size anymore, man. This free agent class sucks. I mean, it's not mediocre. It's not, this free agent class sucks that Brandon Beane put together over the offseason. That's on him. We'll get to all this stuff. I'll tell you what, I'll let you kind of drive the car right now. Like, where do you want to start? Like, what about this game specifically? And we'll go point by point, but I'll give you first crack here. What bothered you the most looking back at this game right now?
At this game, the final 2 minutes really drove me crazy. Sure. That's where I kind of was like, this felt like a rerun of like Sean McDermott in like the big moments against the better teams in the league. This sort of bullshit starts happening.
Yeah.
I'll start with, I don't know why you're taking timeouts as early as he did. You got 2 timeouts. The situation is this: you got 2-minute warning. You got 2 timeouts. The Texans have 3. You're not even at midfield yet, and they start taking timeouts. And I'm like, why are you doing that? The game is tied. And I'm like, the game is tied. You don't need to get the ball back. You just have to hold them. And instead, they're taking timeouts, and then they're down to 0. The Texans then get a first down, and luckily they got the grounding penalty because I was like, this game's over. They're gonna run out the clock, and it's gonna be over. Then they punt. Then they get the grounding. Great. Then they punt, and then you got 30 seconds left, and you start winging it after your quarterback almost got concussed. I think he got concussed. I'm not a doctor. He got concussed. He got concussed.
100% concussed.
There was fucking smelling salt there, and people better look into that too locally in the media, because if you're gonna shit all over the Dolphins on what they did to Tua, then you should at least like look into that, because he looked like he was fucking Twilight Zone. Okay, but at that moment, you got to go 60 yards in 30 seconds with no timeouts. Now, if you kept your timeouts, you could have at least gone into a different playbook. You didn't have to go over. You didn't have to go throwing like 30-yard fucking chuck balls down the field. And they do that, and then that's basically what they did. And they chucked it. They gave it back to them. The first play they run with the Texans with like 8 seconds left. I don't know if you saw this chart. I think it was Nick Veronica or someone had this. They did like the X's and O's thing. I forgot what it's called, but like, they show where the safeties were playing on that last play where the Texans gained like 5 yards. The safeties were playing like 40 yards down the fucking field. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, it's going to take them. It's going to take them at least like 6 seconds to get down the field. And it was just another one of those harebrained. This is Marty Schottenheimer, where maybe it's not all Sean McDermott's fault or whatever the fuck. That's kind of how it felt for me. It just felt like it was deja vu that last 3 minutes. And that's what irritated me the most about this individual game, because we've seen this bullshit before. We've seen it to where I thought he panicked at the end. He panicked with taking his timeouts too early. He then panicked with like, well, we're going to chuck it down the field. And like, why are you doing it? Like, waste some times. And if you don't call those timeouts, then you have a different plays you can pick. Because you can get like 6 yards and be like, all right, whatever. Like, we have time. We can take a timeout or whatever. It was just really bad management at his end at the end of the game. Like that's kind of irritates me. And there's a lot of things that irritate me, which we'll get into. But that just felt like to me, this was deja vu. It felt like a little bit of 13 seconds. It felt like the Vikings game a little bit. It wasn't his fault, but like Josh Allen fumbles the football. But it just felt like one of those other like stupid fucking things. Like last year's game against Denver, where they have 12 men on the fucking field and they should have won. And then like, McDermott, they messed that up. And then Ken Dorsey gets fired. Like those are like the moment that 3 minutes, just that last 2 minutes just pissed me off. It felt like deja vu to me.
He also declined to run out the 10 seconds on that would have mattered as well. Yeah, that was puzzling. And he had, you know what? He took accountability after the game, but I'm pretty sick of hearing about it. Joe Brady last week took all the accountability after the Baltimore game. I get it. Enough with the accountability shit. Don't keep making stupid mistakes. I don't know if you saw it. I sent this to you, actually. I don't know if people know about this. I don't know who he was talking about. Ryan O'Halloran from the Buffalo News, feature writer, Bills reporter, whatever. He tweeted out, he said, I'm reading this right now. Bills veteran on the final offensive series threw 3 passes and no rushes. Quote, I hope the coaches learn from it. That's not good when your players are essentially, I mean, it's not a guy.
Yeah, they're talking off the record and they're just going they're just kind of chatting with him.
That's the first sign of, some bad things, some bad dominoes can end up coming from shit like that. Look, the coaching was abysmal. You're 100% right about McDermott with the timeouts too early. That confused me.
Yeah, I was like, what are you doing? Like, if you're down, if you're losing, then sure, take the timeouts. But you're tied. Just do a stand, you idiot.
Well, and it was bad. He got away with it, though. That he got away with. He should. It was a mistake, but he got away with it in part because of the penalty. Yeah. And then, look, man, running the football or not running the football, just low percentage passes. Anyway, everybody knows about that, but there's a lot of things that were on in this game, too. Joe Brady now, to me, back-to-back weeks. Well, let's just focus on this week. Too predictable. Early, they ran the ball, I think, like almost 75 or 80% of their first downs, they were running the football. I
saw that. Yeah, I think it was 19 to 24 or something like that.
Yeah, something crazy like that. They're very predictable on early downs. And the pass calls, there were just too many plays that were like long developing plays, throws down the field, low percentage success type plays, which is not what Josh Allen and this Bills offense was doing the first couple weeks. So I don't know what's going on in Joe Brady's head. We'll talk about Curtis Samuel in just a few minutes here, but that's a problem now. At this point, he's a problem. That's a problem on this football team. And even on the other side, look, Bobby Babbage fared much better, especially with the hand that he got dealt for this game with the injuries. Ed Oliver, Teron Johnson, Taylor Rapp, all out. Von Miller, no Von Miller. I thought, for the most part, the defense played pretty well. But there was one play, specifically in the fourth quarter. The Bills in the second half were getting a lot of success rushing the passer with 4 people. They were getting the Stroud. They were disrupting throws. And then on that one drive, the last drive, actually, before the Bills started using those 2 timeouts, it was like 3rd and 10, and they brought a blitz. And he just dumped it out. He read the blitz. He dumped it out to the guy in the flat, and the guy beat him to the marker, and they got a first down. I lost my mind. I'm like, why are you blitzing now? You know what I mean? This defense has been so good the way playing in that zone, coming up to the football.
Sure.
It's kind of a brain fart to Bobby Babbage. And again, Houston didn't score. They ended up punting, but they took time off the clock and moved, and they flipped the field because of that. That would have been a big difference near the end of the game. So, yeah, I'm with you on the coaching.
I wasn't too thrilled with I thought look, they finished stronger than they did in the first half. They were a disaster. It's fucking sucked. They were bad in the first half, Pat. Like, they were bad. Like,
absolutely.
Stroud had was 10 for 10 for like 170 yards. Cole Bishop didn't look very good. I mean, he's a rookie. I get that, but he got fucking burned a couple different times.
Right.
Why are you starting? Like, look, this is the second week in a row, but like, when you think about it, it's the three out of 5 weeks they have started like shit. Like the Cardinals game, the defense looked like shit to start that game. Yep. And they looked like crap the last 2 weeks now. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, do you need a new pep song before you go out there, or a new playlist or whatever? Like, second week in a row, the defense looked like shit in that first
21-3 in Baltimore. They were down 17-3.
Yeah, it could have been worse. I mean, overall today, look, I don't want to like this better not be one of those games where down like a month from now we'll be like, oh, they almost won, and like keep perspective. Like I know you just said it 10 different times. This should have been a blowout. Like the Texans kicked their asses for most of this game. I thought the Texans kind of eased off a little bit, and they kind of were being too cute at times. But like they kind of. This should have been a blowout, I thought.
Well, the defense kept them in the game. The defense got 2 turnovers in the second half, and that kept the Bills in the football game.
But they still,
Bernard interception and Williams fumbled.
They did, but they still moved the ball on them a lot, and I think that's going to be something to keep an eye on moving forward. I mean, look, they got the Jets next week. That should be easy. I mean, I should say easy, but you're right. Never mind. I'm not going to. I don't think that their offense is good. I don't think it's going to be a shootout. I'll just say. But those are you've played 2 teams in a row who have really good quarterbacks, and I think you've given up a lot of big chunk plays. You've given up a lot of yards, and yeah, they finished strong. I'll give them that, the defense, but they still are not. It did not help. I don't think it helped the offense when you're down 17-3 or 20-3. Excuse me, for that matter, where you're trying to like come back. It doesn't help. And of course,
but look, man, no Ed Oliver, no Teron Johnson. It does matter.
Well, you hate Ed Oliver. You want Ed Oliver destroyed.
Well, I mean, I like him better than the kid they signed from the Atlanta practice squad this week. Ed Oliver's better than him. But anyway, we'll get back to the defense. I want to talk about Josh Allen for a few, man, because I thought he was straight up lousy for most of this game. Now, in fairness, no help at all. And I feel like we'll get to the receivers here. That's a whole separate topic. But when they were open, there were plays to be made. Josh had a handful of really shitty passes. He was under duress. Again, the receivers didn't help him. The offensive line didn't help him. He kind of felt like he was on an island for a lot of this game. But I don't care, man. 9 for 30 is 9 for 30. I saw a stat. Elenia Getzenberg from ESPN.com said that this was the lowest completion percentage for somebody who attempted at least 30 passes in the NFL in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
It was 9 of 30. Again, no help, under pressure a lot of the game, but there were throws out there that they were there to be made, and he missed.
Yeah, even on the last drive, like when they had the ball, he had Curtis Samuel underneath, and he chucked it, and he missed him by 2 yards. He short-armed it, and he was open, and it was not. And
he was about to get hit, but yes,
yeah, but still, like you're paid. You got to make those fucking throws. Like you're. Like 9 of 30 is bad. It was the fewest completions he's had where he started and finished the game outside of last year's Dallas game where they didn't bother throwing it since his rookie year when they played Jacksonville and Robert Foster had that giant bomb. Like it's been a while, but he looked like ass. And I think it's one of those things you have to start like, is that going to be like the excuse every game is, yeah, but he doesn't have help. Yeah, but he doesn't have help. Look, you signed up for this. Okay, the Bills did. So did you. Okay, so yeah, I'm talking to you, Pat Moran. You were all about Matt Collins and all these idiots, MVS, and I was like, these guys suck. And like now, all of a sudden, we went from like everyone's got to eat, and look at Pat Mahomes, he's making all these wide receivers look great. To now, it's he has no help. Well, what happened to the hype that we got in the preseason or training camp or the first 3 weeks of the season when it was like, oh hey, look, He's accentuating the positives of all these guys. And then once it starts not going well, it becomes, he has no help. And I'm not saying that's like there's truth to that, but there's also his issue as well. He made you could tell he panicked in the pocket a few different times. Like he does that when it's not there, he does the spin out. Like he runs out to the outside, and that's what he does. He spins out and he runs out to the outside. He does the street ball thing. And you could tell he is pressing. I remember this play at the end of the first half where I'm watching it. It was like 3rd down. And I looked at my wife and I go, he's going to throw an interception. And I'm like, I can tell he is pressing. That play, he throws it across his body. It should have been picked. It wasn't picked off. But you can tell at that moment, he is pressing. And that's on him. I get it. Like these guys need to be better. He does not have help. But you can't. I feel like a bit of I don't want to say hypocrite, but I feel like I don't want it to slide that's going to be the excuse every week. Well, he doesn't have help because this was the selling point since fucking training camp. Oh, he's going to make all these wide receivers look better, and we don't need Diggs, and everyone can eat, and blah 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 blah. And right now, this is what I'm going to put up with every week is, he doesn't have help. Okay, like all right, 9 of 30 is fucking bad. That
It
is
is
bad in the NFL. Like
it is.
It's bad. And I'm not saying you're. I mean, I know I made fun of you because you try to hype up your boy, shoeless cat hater. But that's what we were told. Like that was kind of the look at all these wide receivers.
That's not his fault though. You were told that. That's not.
Yeah, it is your fault because you should have all been. You should have all been pissed off like me that they had the shittiest wide receiving core of all time, that they neglected it for the last 3 fucking years. Even if they kept Stephon Diggs, I would probably be complaining about the wide receiving core because I've complained about it for the last 3 fucking years. They made it even worse. And that's why I'm like, okay, so we're just now everyone's gonna jump on the bandwagon that the wide receivers are is shitty. Well, shit, you should have jumped on it when I was saying it was shitty. Like, what the fuck?
Look,
that's it.
I'm not giving him a total pass. I just said it 2 minutes ago or 5 minutes ago. I said there were some throws out there with open receivers that
you're right.
You're
doing that. You're fine. Yeah,
shitty. But look, you want a stat? I'll give you a stat. Nate Tice, who's a stat guy, I saw this on Twitter. Josh Allen was pressured 16 times this game. He was 1 for 14 for 24 yards under pressure. Josh, who is typically money under pressure, he makes teams pay for pressure. He sucked under pressure, but let's get back to this now, all right? No matter what you said before the season or all that other stuff or who was right, who was wrong, now we're seeing it in games. That was opinion, but now we're seeing it. It's become fact because these receivers, especially with no Khalil Shakir on Sunday, they're just flat out. They're not good enough. And I'll say this much. They need to make a trade. And I'm not usually that guy. It feels like fantasy land to me, trading season stuff, this and that. Dude, 18 targets from MVS, Holland, Samuel, and Coleman. 4 catches on the night. Matt Collins. Let me finish. Matt Collins, 3 catches on 12 targets. The last 2 games combined, 3 catches, 12 targets. To me, at this point, after I saw what I saw today, if Brandon Beane and the Buffalo Bills are serious about trying to win a title this year in a wide open AFC, I don't care that the Chiefs are undefeated. This is a wide open conference right now. If you're serious about winning, you better go out and make a trade. Devontae Adams, Amari Cooper, Dobbs from Green Bay, I don't know, somebody who we don't know that's on the market that will be. There's no way you are going to win a championship with this wide receiving group. You're just not. And yes,
but they haven't done that before.
I was wrong. I was wrong about MBS. He sucks. He's useless.
He's terrible.
I was wrong about him. Okay. I was wrong about Matt Collins. I did a whole episode called I said Matt Collins is better than you think. No, he's not. Matt Collins is a special teams guy who
the hype bros got to you.
He's a 4th or 5th receiver on the team. He's got no fucking business getting 12 targets in 2 games. Simple as that. This year, and Curtis Samuel, 5 weeks in now, -1 yards, or had 1 catch for 0 yards, -1 rushing on Sunday, 9 catches for 47 yards on the season. What are we doing here? Every pass he gets is at the line or behind it. He can't work down the field. I don't know what the hell they're doing with him. This unit after Shakir sucks. It sucks. Period. They better go find someone else because Keon Coleman is okay. That's all I'll say about him. He's all right. He's all right. He'll make some plays.
It's hard to ask a rookie to do that, to do what he has to do. But
the wide receiving group sucks.
It's been that way for a while. It hit the fucking shitter fan this year because they wanted out or whatever.
Hit it this week.
It hit it this week, sure. But there have been some bad games that Allen has had in the past. I mean, look, the Jets game, the season opener last year. This is where I think is an issue is that the Bills, I think they're very picky when it comes to who we're going to pick or who are we. They'll pick like that 5-6 game winning streak that they seem to always do with like they're great in December and then they'll completely forget what the hell happened like the previous 6 weeks. And I feel like that has been an issue that it gets forgotten how shitty they were at the start of last season in terms of like not like at the start, but like October on where they were 6-6. And it's like we ignore all those games. We ignore that Josh Allen doesn't look at his numbers. His passing numbers aren't the same as what they were in 2020, 2021. And we can go into the high shell bullshit or the deep safeties and all that crap or different philosophies, all that, whatever, fine. The bottom line is his numbers, his passing numbers have gone down and like, in totality. And I'm like, why is that? How do you get those back up a little bit? And now this is 2 weeks in a row where he has looked the same as a guy who's been running for his life, who doesn't trust his wide receivers, who makes he makes poor throws at times where, he's just short arming stuff. The Matt Collins, that bomb one, like I'm on the fence of in that first quarter. Like, is that his fault? Like Matt Collins' fault? Like he didn't track the ball well?
Yes.
Or did Josh? Okay, I thought it was, but I also thought Josh Allen kind of overthrew him a tad bit.
It wasn't it might not have been an A+ throw. It was an A-.
It was like the Charles Clay throw from freaking 6 years ago.
A decent receiver that's in 75, however long it was. That's a touchdown, man. It's just it's Matt Collins. And we're relying on Matt Collins. And I was wrong because I told you before the season, I sat here and told you on shows that Matt Collins is better than you think he is. I said that MVS brings he's a winner. And he's going to bring some to his offense.
You need to start listening to me more.
He had one pass,
but I get
one target on Sunday, and he dropped it. I mean, it was not an easy play. Got knocked down, but
also fucking ball. Look, if you wanted me to drink the Kool-Aid of like the Kansas City Chiefs offense, like that was what we can look at from last year. Like, oh look, like they have shitty wide receivers, but they're good. You had Travis Kelce then. He sucks now. Hasn't been good this year, obviously. But like, we don't have that guy right now. Dalton Kincaid's supposed to be that guy. I'm not been impressed with Dalton Kincaid all that much. He needs to be more consistent. Your boy Dawson Knox, I see him more open in West Her commercials than I see him on the field.
He's got 3 catches this season. 3 catches in 5 games. Dawson Knox.
What is the point? Like, what's the point of him? Like, he hasn't done dick. He didn't do dick last year. He didn't do dick this year. And it's like, what do you have like a bit of a, I'm starting to wonder if like the reason why they got like this 2 tight end offense, like from last year, was that more of a Ken Dorsey thing that he wanted the 2 tight ends? And then like, oh, it's Brady. Hey, here's your 2 tight end offense. Inherit it. Do something with it. Because I don't even think they've run 12 personnel all that much. Or I have no idea. I don't even know what the snap counts, but like Dawson Knox should have more than 3 catches. I mean, he's the good looking Lee Smith, where he just fucking blocks and we never see him. That's it. I just like there should be more fucking, people. I get it. Like Curtis Samuel has sucked. Fine. Dawson Knox needs to get fucking his ass like chewed out by someone, a bro content guy or someone, because he's just been invisible. He hasn't done dick. I mean, it's fucking pathetic. Okay. And I don't want hey, he's a good blocker. Well, what's he blocking for? Because I see Josh Allen running for his fucking life out there. So, like, what, like, is he pass protecting? I mean, yeah, the running game is a little bit better this week. Like, Cook did okay, but that's not what you paid him for. You paid him to be a top fucking 10, 12 tight end, and fucking he's got less catches than Butch fucking Roll does.
Look, man, this is 2 straight weeks now where Dalton Kincaid has dropped a pass. So that was kind of costly. Not an easy catch on Sunday this game, but a play that he should have made. I want to read a comment. It's from John Sanders, who's in the live chat, because again, we're live here on the video side anyway. Says Curtis Samuel was great under Brady in Carolina. I don't get it. Well, that makes 2 of us because I don't get it either. Joe Brady, let's go back to the coaching. We've kind of already covered that, but he had what was it, 2020 with Carolina? He was good. He's had an entire offseason, dude. He's had an entire offseason, Joe Brady, to put together a game plan. They know what their personnel is. MVS, Matt Collins, Coleman, Curtis Samuel. This was an early free agent signing, their biggest free agent signing, and he is utterly useless. I mean, this was the week, too. No Khalil Shakir. I'm like, all right, this is the week where you really need Curtis Samuel to kind of to step up. He'll be a focal point of the offense. He'll be the slot guy. Maybe he'll work the seams like Khalil Shakir is so good at. Instead, you got 1 catch for no yards. I mean, what are they doing? Is it Curtis Samuel's fault or is it Joe Brady's fault? I don't know, but
I don't think Curtis Samuel had that 1 good year in 2020. I looked this up. Like, I'm not going to pretend I watched a bunch of Carolina games, but he had like they had 2 wide receivers there. It was Moore and then some other guy, and they both had 1,000 yards receiving, while Samuel was 3rd on the team. I don't know. Maybe that's something to do with it. Like, because those other guys did really well, it took pressure off of him so he could get open more. But like, that's the only thing I can think of. But like, he hasn't done dick. And like, and the other thing too is, look, none of us know how maybe this offense is supposed to be different than it was in Carolina. Maybe like Brady was one of those guys that like adjusted to who we had there. Like he had Teddy Bridgewater and I think he had Cam Newton for a hot second, but like Maybe it was a different offense. I don't know. Like in terms of like, it could have been different. Who the fuck knows? But like, yeah, you pay that guy that much money and he hasn't done dick. He's not stretching the field. They keep throwing those stupid screen passes, that wide receiver screens that like, it worked a little bit with Shakir earlier this year. It hasn't worked with Samuel at all. It didn't work last year when they were running it to Diggs all the fucking time and it was getting blown up.
Does Khalil Shakir mean that much to this offense that they were that bad? And I mean, there was just nothing there today without Khalil Shakir. I like Khalil, but man, he shouldn't be that important to this offense. It's just crazy. One last point, Joe. Then I got to take a break here. I said I was going to get some strays at Brandon Beane, and I'm about to right now because you look at this offseason, this free agent class, and we're now, again, 5 weeks in now. This isn't the first game or two. You kind of know who these guys are at this point. You got Curtis Samuel, who's done nothing. MBS, who's done less than nothing. Matt Collins, who is way, way too relevant on this team than what he should be. Austin Johnson, nothing. Mike Edwards, literally nothing. And Casey Toohill, I mean, he's just another guy out there getting some reps at edge. Everyone's kept saying, well, the Bills are going to take a step back this year because of who they lost. Because of Trey, because of Poyer, who, by the way, they're both washed at this point. Mitch Morse, Gabe Davis are doing nothing in Jacksonville. Those guys, Diggs is still good. But outside of him, those guys leaving, that's not the problem. The problem is the guys that Brandon Beane brought in, the veterans anyway, not the rookies, but the veterans, have been garbage. They've been hot garbage. They've given them nothing. This has been an awful, awful, awful offseason for Brandon Beane, whose biggest signing was actually bringing back Taquan Jones, who's been kind of sort of mediocre this season so far now. 5 weeks in. He was all right today. He was okay today. But this is just, I mean, this is on Brandon Beane too. This is team building. This is roster building. And Brandon Beane, the early returns are not freaking good at all. And I just don't, I look at this group, but I'm like, well, who's really going to step up and do more than what they are right now? I'm not seeing any of it.
Yeah, it's been a really bad free agent class. And I don't know why it's, part of me wants to, I don't want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I probably will. Like, they were against the cap and they didn't want to fuck with the cap too much. They brought in a lot of cheaper guys to try to
they look it.
Yeah, they
play like it. Curtis Samuel and Mike Edwards really aren't though. Mike Edwards has got a decent contract, and the dude can't even get.
He can't even get in the field.
3 straight games where he was inactive. Yeah, he was. I think he had 1 snap maybe today. Maybe.
Yeah,
it's just bad.
It's bad. It's and I don't know what he's going to do like with trades. Like, look, they've been aggressive at the trade deadline, but I just don't, if you're talking about wide receiver, and that's what you let off with earlier, this team has neglected wide receiver forever, motherfucker, forever. And I can't, and like, they're all of a sudden going to care now. I don't know. I just don't see it that way. I don't think they're going to be desperate to do that. I think, and look, I still believe to this day, look, they're lockstep. It's Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott share a brain when this roster construction happens. And I think they look at it that they want defense, they want to build the lines. And I don't think they give a shit about the wide receivers. If they gave a shit about the wide receivers, they would have drafted more wide receivers years before. They would have done more this offseason. They didn't.
Well, and they had no choice now. You gotta look at yourself in the mirror. You gotta watch the game film. You cannot, if you're Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott, Joe Brady, I don't care whoever's got any party making this decision, you can't pop this game tape in from Sunday and not conclude that they need a legitimate receiver besides Khalil Shakir, because you just can't count on Coleman to be consistent. And they got to make a move. I got to take a real quick break. Audio side will be back in a few. On the video side, I'll be back literally in about 3 seconds. And I am back here. Joe from Queens going over a 3-point loss that, I don't know, man.
It felt like it would have been like 70. It felt bad. I don't know.
I'm going to be honest with you. Someone mentioned this in the comment as well earlier. I think if Nico Collins doesn't get hurt, I feel like this game probably end up being a rout.
Can I ask a couple questions to you, and then we can go on? Like two things. One, I came into this game with them. I thought I picked the Bills to lose. I actually thought they were going to lose by 2 scores. So I was like, don't take my gambling. If pick them, I'm good at the gambling spreads. Forget it. my idea was, look, be competitive. You lose, it's fine.
Yeah.
They lost by 3, but it looked like a shit show for most of it if you watched the game. Like it shouldn't have been that close. And like I keep thinking back to like 2-3 weeks ago how we were all drinking Kool-Aid and it was great times after the Jacksonville game. And like I bought into it a little bit. I think we all, I mean, you try to be, put perspective into it, but like how can you put perspective into it where I always want, you want to be right, but you also don't want to overblow it or underblow it or whatever you want to cause it. Like I feel like weird in terms of saying like where we were 2-3 weeks ago, where it was like, my God, like they look great. And like now it's just 2 weeks later, it's just a shit show. And it's a bipolar league. And I'm sick of like falling for it at times. So I want to be like, so part of me, it's like, I should have been more negative like 2 weeks ago. I should have been like, they're playing no ones. They're fucking dog shit. They're fucking, paper champions or something like that. Why am I getting excited? And now I'm like,
what's your question?
Schmuck. My question is, why can't we, I don't know. Is there a way for us to not look like schmucks 2 weeks later after?
No,
there's not. We're just gonna
we react, we talk, we're emotional, and we're in the moment type of people. And I think at least some people who watch or listen to this show, they like that. It's not so much an analytical X's and O type podcast. It's more of a reactionary thing. I'll say this though, dude. Look, literally, it's an overblown statement. You would think, but it's actually very accurate. This is truly a week-to-week league. Look what happened just today around the league on Sunday. Didn't the 49ers just lost at home to Arizona?
Well, now Arizona's good now. Remember, Arizona was great because
they were good.
Rams and they got crushed. Now they're great, so they have one.
Yeah, so I mean, the Giants just went on the road and beat Seattle. You know what I mean? It's so who the hell knows in this league? I'll say this though: the first 3 weeks, one of my biggest takeaways from the season early on was I said the Bills are 3-0 because Sean McDermott was coaching circles around Gannon and McDaniel and Doug Peterson. Last 2 weeks, it's been reversed. He's done a really
it hasn't been great. Like I said, like the last 2 minutes was bad, and then even last week with the weird 4th down conversions, it's not going for it.
But perspective, because I'll tell you this. Yes, why part of the reason why they've looked like shit the last couple of weeks, if you're being honest, I mean, Josh played crappy today, and they have a passing game problem. Tone Puck said that in the chat earlier. He's 100% right. They got a passing game problem right now, period. But
absolutely.
They've also, they've played 2 really good teams on the road. That is a factor. I'm sorry, but the difference between Cam Lewis and Teron Johnson is enormous. So that's a factor. There's lots of factors. But to me, the biggest one far and away is just the wide receivers just don't get open. I can't wait to watch this game film on Monday, the All-22, because I want to see, is it humanly possible for these guys to be as covered as good as it felt like? I saw Matt Bove comment from the press box during the game because Houston's press box is way higher, but you can see everything way better apparently. And he just kept saying, nobody gets open. But beyond that, dude, here's another small factor with the offense. And I got something I'll talk about on the defense too, but back-to-back subpar performances from the offensive line. They, for 2 straight weeks now, have not done a good job.
Spencer Brown hasn't looked good the last 2 weeks.
Play calling might have something to do with it. But yeah, Spencer Brown has not looked good. I saw David Edwards got smoked once. I know Torrance got smoked at least once. Again, 16 pressures on Josh Allen on Sunday, and he had even more, I think, when they played Baltimore. The offensive line, which was a big strength early in the season, has struggled against 2 good defensive lines over the past 2 weeks. But the offensive line is nothing's going right offensively. It feels like, God, I just keep coming back to, is Khalil Shakir really matter that much? Apparently so. Yeah. James Cook is good and he's consistent. And that's about it for the offense so far this season. That's consistently good. I'm not going to buy into Keon. I'm not a Keon Coleman hater. I still say this year, next year, and in 3 years from now, he's Gabe Davis. I think he's going to have some big moments, some big games, and I think he's going to have plenty of 1 catch for 9-yard type games as well. He's good at contesting balls. He caught a break. That guy kind of slipped, and he did make a move, and he scored a touchdown. Good credit to him, and he's good at making those contested catches. He's going to give the Bills some good stuff on offense, but he doesn't separate. He ain't open much, and you're going to have a lot of weeks where he don't do shit. So
Yeah,
I'm just not sold on him. Ugh,
well, I think it's too early to be sold or unsold on him. He's a rookie. He's a second-year guy, a second rounder.
Mhm.
I wasn't expecting much out of a rookie this year. They just have to keep bringing more weapons in. But that's the thing. I don't have that confidence that they're going to do that. As I told you, because them getting weapons should have been something they should have been doing for fucking eons, and they ignored it, and they've kind of drafted higher, like they drafted Kincaid, even though they had Dawson Knox, and now they got him, and like I feel like the pendulum is going to like swing back to the stupid defense where Sean McDermott's going to be like, we need 10 more defensive linemen. I'll just say this:
your defensive lineman to doom.
My defensive lineman to doom. It was, but overall, it was it's funny. Like in the third quarter, I had this out for you. Like the third quarter today, the Bills had that's when they kind of made their comeback. They had 151 yards in total offense.
Yep.
The other 3 quarters, 126.
Yeah.
Average, like terrible. Like they had one good quarter, and then like it was a disaster. And like they did. And to Tone Buck's credit, they have a passing game issue right now. No one's getting open. Josh Allen's panicking. The offensive line has to hold up longer because it's taking these guys longer to get open. And Joe Brady, within a span of 2 weeks, he looked fucking like a genius, against Jacksonville. And now these guys aren't getting open anymore.
The Bills offense is like my car, dude. It's like my car right now. My car's a piece of shit.
Yeah,
it was a nice car, but like something goes wrong with it. Like, I don't know. I got a brake issue. I get the brakes fixed. Then the air compressor breaks. That gets fixed. And then the next thing has happened. And I've had like 5 consecutive different issues with my car. It just nothing seems to stay right now. You could go so many directions with the offense, with the exception of, even though he was not good today, I'm still rolling with Josh Allen. I feel good about him 10 out of 10 times. Funny though, I said Keon Coleman is Gabe Davis. Keon Coleman is Randy Moss compared to fucking MVS and Matt Collins. They shouldn't. It's at a point now where I'm ready to see MVS get cut this week. I don't like Tyrell Shavers to really do much. He's a 5th bottom of the roster receiver type guy. But come on, man. I'm over it. I want to talk about something else too, because you talk about his perfect segue. Somebody in the comments said, talk about DeMar Hamlin getting trucked. I won't talk about that, but what I will tell you is I feel confident in telling you this. I think DeMar Hamlin stinks. He's just he's not a starter, man. He's not a starter. I tweeted about this during the game. I said, is Mike Edwards some kind of idiot who can't pick up the Bills playbook or something? That's the only. I'm at a loss right now of why they keep going back or keeping DeMar Hamlin on this field. He does. I guess you got to watch. I think
Sean,
appreciate how bad he is, man.
I think McDermott just has a lot of respect for those who have been in his system for a while, and like he just wants to die by it because in his mind, I think he goes, well, these guys have more experience because they know my system, they know the playbook and all that sort of shit. He's been in it for 4 years now or whatever it's been, and I think he just wants to roll with these guys. Like he's scared to put other guys on the field who don't know the system as well, I guess. I don't know. I can't answer your question. Like, Edwards was supposed to be a good safety. And, like, I don't know why, like you said, like, does he not know how to read? Like, your defense isn't that complex.
He's late everything. He's not physical enough. If a tight end or even a running back get their paws on him, they're driving him 15 yards away from the play. He just doesn't seem to have the instincts. All he cares about, it seems like the only thing that DeMar Hamlin will be good at is not getting beat for a 75-yard touchdown in the air, like playing center field. That's it. That's all he's good for. Cole Bishop, this was his first start, and it was a mixed bag. Rasul Douglas, I mean, only they know, but on that Nico Collins touchdown, Rasul looked back at Cole Bishop. Cole Bishop kind of got caught. I think he was supposed to have deep safety help, and he didn't. That was a mistake, but Cole Bishop is a rookie, and you kind of expect that, and he's a second-round pick, and you're probably excited about his prospects as he gets better. There's nothing about DeMar Hamlin right now that excites me, and I'm at a loss. You pay Mike Edwards $2.7 million or whatever it is that they signed him for. You're in week 5, and DeMar Hamlin's just not. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. And look, the defense is not the bigger problem right now. The passing game is the Bills' problem. But these safeties, maybe I'm just spoiled because for years I got to watch guys like Hyde and Poyer come up and run support, and they were so good at those little things that you're not seeing it from Hamlin. You haven't seen it from Taylor Rapp, who didn't play because he was hurt. And again, Bishop's a rookie, and just Mike Edwards can't get on the field.
The thing is like Hamlin wasn't even supposed to start. Like, go back to last year. Hamlin was mostly a practice squad. He was, or not practice squad.
He was fourth or fifth safety. That's what
he wasn't even playing though last year. And then they all of a sudden they were just like, "Fuck it, you're playing." And it's just like, okay.
He started day one of training camp, by the way. Though I mean, they were in a competition. Edwards got hurt early, but
that's what I'm saying. Like, they just threw him in when the guy had he wasn't even close to being on the field before. Like, and it's kind of like, okay, all of a sudden you're gonna do this. It's just odd. I just want to say, like I said, look, the defense, I think, has its issues, but like as you said, they've had some injury issues, and I think
that's a big factor.
That's a big factor. I mean,
I'm not mad at the defense today. I think
I'm a little mad about the first half. The first half was a little bit, come on, dudes. Like,
sure,
but yes, face of the bear who just commented, 23 is acceptable.
It is acceptable. You should win. You should win.
You should win. You're absolutely right. The first half was a little sluggish. Fine. But this offense, I think that's the biggest key, right? The thing right now. And I'm looking at, look, we could sit here and shit all over Matt Collins. We could shit all over MVS. And I knew from the start of this season and for the offseason, I was not very high on any of those guys. But I was high on Dalton Kincaid. I was high on him being better. You got to have more than 2 catches, dude. Like, I'm sorry. You got to have more than 2. You're supposed to be high draft,
especially a game like this without Shakir. You expect Kincaid to have a 5-6 catch game.
You should be their leading wide receiver. Again, going back to the Kansas City Chiefs model of how they made it work with Hill gone and Watkins gone and whoever, they had Travis Kelce as being that guy that can take the pressure off and be the safety valve. And Kincaid has to be that guy. And he hasn't. And to me, he's been. He's got to be. He hasn't been much. And he's had some moments, but he doesn't look like he did at the end of last season when it looked like he was legit getting there to the next level. He looks kind of there. Sure. You know what I mean? It's just not great.
Couple comments I want to read. John Sanders says, "I feel like I was watching the Jags game in London."
Yeah,
that's a great example because the offense didn't show up in the first half in London, and that was pretty much the case here on Sunday as well. Played catch up, got close, but couldn't get over the hump.
It felt like watching last week's game, to be honest with you. That's what it felt like.
Alex Barber has a comment. He says, "It is Samuel. Everyone should shit on it. $8 million this year."
Hey,
to a point, but you know what, Joe? No, I'm going to shit more on Joe Brady because he's not finding a way to use him. And I'm going to shit more on Brandon Beane because this is the guy they signed. Well, I never thought he was a great fit because they already had a good slot receiver in Khalil Shakir. So I'm going to shit on Brandon Beane. I'm going to shit on Joe Brady more than I'm going to shit on Curtis Samuel himself. If Curtis Samuel is down the field and dropping balls or not tracking them like Matt Collins did today, then I'll shit on him. They clearly cannot find a way to get this guy involved. And it's really hurting this offense.
It's been bad. Like the free agent classes, when it comes to trying to find wide receivers, those third, fourth guys, it's been bad from Hardy, to Crowder, even like a couple years ago. I know he got hurt, but like they just haven't been able to find new guys to come in here. And it doesn't make sense because you have Josh Allen, who is he's a franchise quarterback. There's no denying it, but he's supposed to be the guy to accentuate the shitty wide receivers into marginal wide receivers and marginal guys to good wide receivers and good guys to great. And it's not happening right now this season for, I feel like a few of these for Samuel and even back then. And I'm not saying it's his fault, Josh's fault, but like these guys just aren't gelling right now.
Sure. You know what? Somebody had a really good comment. I want to make sure I give the right person the credit here. Sim Chris, he says 3rd and long, this team can't get off the field. That's an underrated key point to this football game specifically, both sides of the ball. I'm looking up the stats right now. The Bills were only 3 of 14 offensively on 3rd down today. That is deplorable. And meanwhile, they were 8 for 16 and getting off the field on 3rd down. And that was with an improvement in the second half. They were way worse in the first half of the game. So, yeah, 3rd downs have been an issue as well for this team. And it's been like that all season for them. I want to then maybe we'll come back to a couple other final thoughts, but there were a couple bright spots that I wanted to hit on real quick. James Cook, I thought he was good. 20 carries, 82 yards, he scored a touchdown. He's finding the end zone this year, which he didn't last year, which is cool. 2 catches for 17 yards. He made a really nice catch, but it wasn't a great throw. And it was a great play by Cook, but he couldn't get that second foot down. I kind of felt like, again, going back to being mad at Joe Brady, get this guy in the flats more, get him out in some space. get him working in the passing game, especially on a day with no Khalil Shakir, and the Bills did not do a good job of that. But anyway, I thought James Cook was pretty good. I thought Dorian Williams had a good game. You can see him growing every week. He's as he's getting a little more fundamentally sound, he's a really physical player, and you're starting to, especially in run support, he was really good. And then the last guy, really good to see and promising, quite frankly, the third-round rookie, Dwayne Carter. I thought he had a strong game. I thought
he was really good.
He might have been the best player on the field for the Bills in the first half of that game. He was moving bodies. He was making plays. He was penetrating. Yeah. I thought he played as well in that first half as Ed Oliver's played at any point all season long.
He made some really good, fun splash plays, and it's to the point to where I don't know what the defensive line rotation is. I haven't looked at it, but I like to see him on the field more than Daquan Jones, maybe. And like if Oliver comes back, have those two play a little bit more, together in terms of that. But I thought he played really well. Like he was impressive to me.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, just like I said, we kind of hit on this. And you're right. You want to get on the Miami Dolphins who are trying to get Tua back on the field and stuff like that. I love Josh. And I'm not going to lie. It kind of felt like a Rocky movie. Again, I watched the game for the first time in forever with 20-some people. And Mitch Trubisky's in there. They force a turnover. Mitch is out there. He hands the ball off at first. And you see Josh Allen grabbing his helmet and run onto the field. I ain't going to lie. In the moment, I'm like, yeah. Everybody was fired up in the house, doing shots and shit. It was really cool. But in hindsight, from a human element, Josh Allen had zero business going back in that football game. You see the goddamn replay. He smacked his head twice, and I think the lights might have been out for a couple seconds, actually.
I don't know.
He's a tough son of a bitch, but sometimes you gotta
look. I'm not a doctor, but when you see a video of them getting the smelling salts out, which I think someone from Fox Sports had tweeted that's not great. But yeah, you can't be doing that. And yeah, it's to put everything in perspective, as you said 16 times already, they're lucky to me they're in a shitty division because the AFC East sucks.
Sure.
They should win that division. They should. I say that should. And then hey, if your goal is get in the playoffs and see what happens, great, awesome. Sign, that you got what you want.
Did you see Josh Allen point at his chest at one point, like it was his chest? There got John Sanders.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure he knew what he was doing. Like he wants to get back in there, so he's like,
"Oh,
it's my chest. It's my chest."
You got to protect people from themselves. So sometimes that can be dangerous, and he takes another whack to the head, and who knows what happens. I would not be the least bit surprised if on Monday when Sean McDermott speaks in the media, which is usually around 4 p.m., I would be surprised to learn that Josh Allen's in concussion protocol following that hit. I mean, it's just that's concerning. I'll say this too. I treated the Ravens game in this game, both of them. To me, this was an opportunity for the Bills to get a win. I think around
to really show themselves as like being the class of the AFC.
Yes, but again, focused on the AFC East only now at this point. I kind of felt like they were going to lose both those games. To me, it's always been win one of these three. Before this road trip started, I said the Bills got to win one of these three. And obviously, if it's only going to be one, have it be against the New York Jets. Now, this week, the Bills are 3-2. Look, if you go into New Jersey next Monday night and you beat the Jets, bam, you're 4-2. You got a 2-game lead on the Jets. I still think Miami is done.
Yeah.
And you're in great shape. But if you lose this game next Monday and now you've lost 3 in a row on the road against 3 quality opponents, you might start questioning yourself. You don't need the outside to question you. You might start questioning yourself. Like Ryan O'Halloran reported, there's some talk in that locker room right now, like coaches, hey, you better be better. You're going to start to see a lot more questions with this team if they lose. So now these last 2 weeks, Baltimore, Houston have been opportunities to me. The Jets becomes a very significant, important game for this season.
Yeah, and look, they could turn it's significant, and then afterwards you have Tennessee, and then you have Seattle. I think I have those two, right? Yeah, it's Tennessee after that, right?
Tennessee and then at Seattle. Tennessee at home and then at Seattle.
And look, you can win these next 3. But I think for me, like, yes, it is a must win now. I went into these 2 games thinking they were going to lose, but I wanted to feel good about those losses. I know it's hard to feel good about losses, but I did not feel good at all about last week's loss. That was an ass kicking and a half. Sure. This week, yeah, you can look at the final score and go, hey, oh, they lost by 3. It's the Texans. But again, you watch that game. Houston was like all over the field. And like outside of that third quarter, the Bills looked like shit. And I don't know where, like right now, it's what I've kind of thought they were, which was like a 10-win team that's in that they're not as good as the last 3 seasons. And I just feel it. And I feel
now they're not.
And look, it's a week-to-week league. They win the next 3, and then you and I are probably talking about oh, they're back. And
because again, look, I'm here's where I'm at right now with this football team. And by the way, all right, so starting with this game, they're 3-2, starting with the Jets. Again, a big game. After that, you're at home against Tennessee. Obviously, should win that game. At Seattle, not a gimme, but a very winnable game. The Giants just went to Seattle and won today. Then they're at home against Miami, and then they're at Indy. Those are their next 5 games.
Yeah,
it's very
it's winnable.
Very conceivable to go at least no worse than 4-1. If you go 4-1, now all of a sudden you're 7-3 after 10 games, and you're looking good. And I'm going to bring up one more comment here because Nick Page, he's late to the show. He says, have you guys talked about Amari Cooper? Yes, we have. Look, here's where I'm at with this team right now. I like Shakir, and I believe in him. I like James Cook a lot. I think Dalton Kincaid needs to improve, but I think he will. And I think Keon Coleman, again, he could do some things here and there. This team needs to go get a wide receiver. It has to go get Amari Cooper or Devontae Adams or somebody, DeAndre Hopkins. Stephon Diggs was right. Okay? Stephon Diggs was right. You know, your shirt tweet when, somebody said that he was not essential to Josh Allen's success. Yes, he was. Okay? He was. And we're seeing it right now. Just like Josh was essential to his success as well. But they're essential to each other. This team right now, if they go get a wide receiver, then I'm not being a homer. I'm being dead honest. If they go get them a Hopkins or a Cooper or an Adams, and now you got Shakir and Kincaid and Cook and Coleman and a defense that will eventually get healthier with Ron Johnson back, Ed Oliver back, Matt Milano back at some point, if they can stay healthy at that point, maybe even address the safety position as well. I still think this is a championship caliber team in this conference because I don't think the AFC, there's no great team in the AFC, even though Kansas City's undefeated and they got, Pat Mahomes, of course, but it's there. But if they don't go get a wide receiver and they're just going to ride the season out, hoping that Matt Collins and MBS and Shavers or any one of these other guys, these bummy bottom of the depth roster guys, and they want to make them something more than what they are. Samuel, at this point, I put him in right in that class with them. They're done. They're not going to get past the wild card round with this receiving group. They're just not. They need to go get someone else. So I think their season depends on Brandon Beane going out and getting a wide receiver. I'm at that point.
Well, hey, I you know me, I'll take any wide receiver, and Cooper and Adams sounds good to me. I'll take either one of them. Obviously, I don't know how they're going to pull those off in terms of the cap. I know Cooper's cap number is like nothing, which makes it odd because it's like, well, can the Browns get more because his cap number is small? Because when they traded him from Dallas, it was like a 4th rounder or 5th rounder or something like that. So, I don't know how that's going to work in terms of like, is it going to cost more, even though that was like 2 years ago? But yeah, look, I'll take fucking whatever at this point. They need wide receiving help, but I don't believe I just don't.
You don't think they're going to do it? You don't think Brandon Beane's going to do it?
I'm trying to think. Look, he's a gambler. He did trade for a wide receiver once in 2018, Calvin Benjamin, that complete ass, obviously, unfortunately. I just feel they like their guys. And I think what they're going to do, this is what I think is going to happen. They're going to simplify things. I think they want to go back to maybe not be as like running gun, like out of shotgun and having 3-4 wide receivers on the field. I think they're going to want to shorten the game and go back to what they did at the end of last year, which was we're going to run the ball more. We're going to take less chances. We're going to do shorter passes. They were not – look, the short passing game is gone. And they've been – even this week, they've been going – I felt that they were going down the field more on throws than they were doing the short throws.
This game?
Yeah, I think so. They were attempting
low percentage success plays. Too many of them.
Yeah, and look, I don't know why they were doing that. I mean, is that because like the defenses are now like I talked about this after one of our games? Like, hey, the short passing game is great until those defenses start coming down on you more, and that's where I'm a little bit worried that they're that's what's happening. And it's like, you have to beat them over the top, because now they've changed it where they're going more over the top. But I feel they are going to look at it like, hey, we can just simplify it and make it a lot easier. And we're just going to like play like 24, 17 games like they did at the end of last year. But I don't know. Because I don't think they view wide receiver very important. I just don't.
I don't agree with you based on the fact that you watch this game film and it's going to pop out at you. It's going to stick out like a sore thumb. This group,
I just said, like, I agree. Buddy, I'm with you. I'm pretending I'm Brandon Beane and next to him. I've watched how he's been a GM, and the same with McDermott. They don't give a shit about the wide receivers. They just don't give a fuck.
Well, then they're not going to win. This is not good.
Yeah,
this is not a team. This is not a team that's going to play
not.
for the AFC Championship if this is their wide receiving group for the
Buddy,
year.
I told you that before the season started.
I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you because I think they're going to. I think
you. Okay, so you think they're going to go out there?
Could be a Buffalo Bill this coming week.
Okay,
they lost again. They're 1-5.
Sure. Hey, they're in trouble.
I'm telling you, man. And by the way, Khalil Shakir missed this game. He's got probably a high ankle sprain. That's a 2 to 4 week injury. So you can't count on Khalil Shakir, probably not even playing against the Jets as well. I mean, that's way too early.
Man, I have no, like, not, I mean, I'm not going to be on before the Jets game, thank God. But I don't know about this Jets game next week, man. Every year, like, the Jets, they always split it somehow. Like, the Jets play well. Their defense always collapses on the Bills. Like, it's going to be a fucking tough. I know it's easy to laugh at the Jets. Like, Aaron Rodgers is an idiot. He obviously hates his coach. The coach hates him. They're kind of funny to watch from afar.
Coach, and
they're a mess. They're funny to watch, but, like, I don't know. Zach Wilson beat the Bills twice. Okay, so that's why I'm not gonna dance on their grave against us yet. But I feel it's gonna be a tough game, and and they still have a good defense there, and I don't know.
Well,
we'll see what happens. Hey, they could trade.
Turner got hurt on Sunday, so he left the game with a head injury in the third quarter. So we'll see how that plays out.
They could trade for Devontae Adams. The Jets. That's the rumor that he wants to go there, and it makes sense. And he knows that offense, and he knows the quarterback.
Both those guys can be on the move somewhere to the AFC East. I'm telling you, I feel it in my bones. There's no way Brandon Beane is watching this film and not concluding that they need a wide receiver who can take the top off of defense. They need a wide receiver who's a threat, somebody who's going to be respected, draw some double teams, open some other things up. It has to happen. Before we get out of here real quick. And by the way, thank you. We're doing this late on the video side, live, late on a Sunday night, well over 750 people checking us out live. So I appreciate you all. In fact, if you are watching us on the video side and you're not subscribed on the audio side, please make sure that you do that. Even if you got to pause this or whatever, go on Spotify, Apple, go to Talking Buffalo, just hit that follow button. It's the only place where you're going to get every single episode in its entirety.
Even I'm subscribed to your video collection, and I don't even like
the video. The video side is awesome. Most again, we do some live shows. Most episodes are available on YouTube. And then we're going to do some exclusive video stuff. So there's plenty of reason to subscribe on the video side. But the audio side is the only place where you're going to get every episode in full.
I'm going to do push-ups on the video side one day. We're going to do a push-up-a-thon. We're going to see who can do more push-ups. That's what we're going to do content-wise.
It helps grow the show, too, when you subscribe to Apple or Spotify as well. Before we get out of here real quick, and I know some people are going to go headed for the exits right now because they're all just Bills fans. But real quick, I'd be remiss if I didn't say the Sabres 2 games in, and not you to use your phrase that you like to say on this show, not great, Bob. 2 ugly ass, and I got up and I watched both those games. 2 very ugly, uninspiring, shitty power play, no offense having kind of ass whoopings by New Jersey. And it's, the last thing the Sabres wanted to do was start the season in any kind of hole. And they come back to the States for the games this week, and they're already 0-2. That's not promising. What a shitty week for Buffalo sports. The Bills lose twice in a week or in 7.5 days. The Sabres are 0-2 already. Shit sucks, man. And not a good start for them.
I watched, like, I think 4 periods, 5 maybe of all those, because they were just shitty games. Like the offense, the power play sucked. They couldn't even like set it up or get entryway passes in. And look, it's 2 games in, obviously, and I get it. Like but like I give me something to care about with the Sabres. Like I tuned out like 2-3 years ago with like I'll watch, but I'm watching it as like background podcast noise, like while I'm working kind of thing. And that's how I feel right now about them. But if there's anything, I was kind of Lindy Ruff said after the first game, like, oh, they were nervous. And I'm like, dude, they're nervous. I was like, but these aren't kids anymore. Like you have a veteran team kind of. You don't have like 19, 20-year-olds anymore. And just it's early, but
we're going to be pressured this week, though. They're at home in Buffalo. Their first 2 games, or their first 2 games in the States, they're at home. They play like they did in Czechoslovakia. These fans are going to get on them pretty quickly.
Yeah.
They're going to get on them quick, man.
It's funny. I was, I'm going to shoehorn in a Bills thing with the Sabres. The last 3 years, this has been the 3rd year of like this run, we'll just call it. It reminds me a little bit of 2002 to 2004 Buffalo Bills, where in 2002 the Bills offense was awesome, but the defense was fucking terrible. And that's what it was like 2 years ago, where the Sabres offense was awesome, but they couldn't stop anyone. The goaltending sucked. Then the next year, if you remember in 2003, the defense got really good. It got better. So did the goaltending this last year, but then the offense just went off a cliff. And that's kind of what happened in 2003 for the Bills with Bledsoe. And then that's what happened last year, where everyone just kind of struggled. And then what happened in 2004, we bring in a new coach. They bring in Mike Mularkey. They bring in Lindy Ruff back from the dead. And it's kind of like they're trying to have it blend in. It's a blending of the last 2 seasons where you didn't really do that much improvement. Like you changed your bottom 6, and I don't know. I'm a guy that when it comes to hockey, you change your bottom 6. You're just kind of like rearranging the deck chairs on Titanic, because you need one of those bottom 6 to be really good, and it's just like they could be just all mid. So we'll see. Yeah. I don't know. That's my hot take.
John Sanders, by the way, back to the Bills here. He says Browns GM and head coaches' jobs are on the line. They're not trading Cooper. All right, John Sanders, a regular watcher of the show, one of my favorite commenters as well. Dude, they're 1-5 or 1-4. They're done. The Browns are done. Cooper's going to get traded. I'll tell you right now. I will bet money.
Well, he's saying
live on the show. Amari Cooper. I'm not saying it's going to be to the Bills, but Amari Cooper's getting traded. And
I
bookmark this when I tell you this. The Bills are trading for a wide receiver. I don't know if it's going to be this week, but before the deadline, and I hope it's sooner than later, I am telling you the Bills are going to trade for a wide receiver.
I cannot believe how terrible Deshaun Watson is. I cannot. That dude 4 years ago was a top 4 quarterback in the league. He was awesome.
He was good. I thought he was better than Josh Allen, or just as good as Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, it was him and Mahomes came in at the same time and was fucking Larry versus Magic, basically, it felt like. And he's been completely fucking ass. Like it is, I can't think there are not many quarterbacks I can recall who had like a 3-4 year stretch where they were the man and then just completely fell off a fucking cliff. And it has nothing to do with age or injuries or anything like that. He just
I'm sure all the shit he's done and been accused of and done is plays a role in maybe his psyche. I might play a role in his offensive lineman wanting to block for him, not liking him as a human being. There's lots of factors. But yeah, man, the Browns are, hey, it could be a lot worse right now. Again, with the Bills, it's been 2 shitty weeks in a row, and they're searching for answers on offense.
They better win next week, because if the Bills lose next week, the vibes are going to be off the bat.
It's going to be terrible. But again, it could be worse. You could be the Cleveland Browns, because the Cleveland Browns are going to be. Even though they won today, I still say Miami is done. Too many injuries. Just too many
they're not. Like I said, the Bills are lucky. They are in a shitty division. They're in a good.
Again, I'm not thinking about the AFC anymore. I'm not looking at the Ravens and the Chiefs. I'm looking at the Dolphins, and I'm looking at the Jets.
You just want to get drinks. You just want to have a podcast. That's all you want.
Sure. All right, guys. That's gonna do it for this episode. A frustrating game that's leaving the Bills definitely searching for some answers. We'll see how things play out with Josh Allen's head this week. I would not be surprised if he's in protocol, at least in the early part of the week. That was a pretty severe blow or whacking his head on the field that we saw. I'm a little bit concerned about that. But anyway, again, thank you very much for watching and for listening. Appreciate you all. Joe from Queens. I'm Pat. I'll be back with some takeaways, some film stuff to go over too as well tomorrow. You're going to get a double dose of Joe next week, as we'll do our normal Monday show, and then he'll be live with me right after the New York Jets game on Monday Night Football as well. So till then, or actually till tomorrow, talk to you later.